They said 77% of the Gambians felt this country is going through the wrong direction. That is a very huge number.
Yeah. No, but I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm on the ground, like many people on the ground, people who travel around. The only people who may be surprised may be the government because they live in an alternate universe. But the people on the ground, the regular people on the ground, people with relatives up country, people who get out of their their offices, their air conditioned offices and cars, and you go and meet the regular person who goes to the market every day, whether it's Serekunda, whether it's Basi, whether it's Farafenye, whether it's Soma, the regular person who has to struggle to feed their family, the regular person who used to pay, if not long ago, 1,500 for a bag of rice, now is paying more than 2,200. For some bags of rice, it's even more than that. The regular person who, when he goes to the clinic, does not, they cannot give him or her any medicine. The regular person where even, the basic items, are just, becoming more and more unaffordable. This is not surprising. This is what we expect. If anything, I'm surprised that it's actually only 77%. Because if you ask me today, how many Gambians have no, every day have no trouble in terms of putting rice, in front of their family. That's a huge number. And, it's very important when we are talking about the Gambia, we are talking about the whole of the Gambia between Katong and Koina. We should not just focus here. Things may be hard in urban areas, but they may even be harder in the rural areas. So to me, it's not surprising at all because I talk to people, I interact with people. I have farms all over the country, in URR, in NBR, in West Coast region. So anytime I'm traveling around my farms, I talk to people, relatives, friends, people I interact with. The situation in the country is tough. There is no way you can sugarcoat it. So the Afrobarometer survey, the results that it finds, it accords with the reality. And I think if we are being honest with ourselves, anyone who's been honest with ourselves, this is not, it just confirms and puts in numbers what we already know to be true from our everyday experience.
The government's response though is that the survey is not real. It doesn't reflect the realities on the ground. Dr. Ceesay quoted the IMF and other international partners how they have, looked at our economic situation and, they think we're doing good.
No, Dr. Ceesay is, let me be very diplomatic here. Dr. Ceesay is highly mistaken. I don't know which IMF report he's looking at. I mean, I've looked at more IMF reports that Dr. Ceesay knows exist. I've looked at more World Bank reports, more ADB reports that Dr. Ceesay is even aware of. There is not a single one of those reports that says the Gambian economy is doing well. There is a difference between saying the growth rate of GDP is, let's say, around 5% or 6%. That doesn't tell you how well it is doing because the aggregate growth figures doesn't tell you what the average person is going through. If you look at the inflation, if you look at the sectors...
But they said inflation is down though. So my question is, if inflation is down, how long would it take for me, the ordinary Gambian, to feel it? I know the last MPC, they said inflation has gone down a little. So how is inflation determined? Is it not what we buy if it goes down? That's what I understand. But if the quarterly report says it is down, when do I feel it, me, the ordinary person?
Well, as I've always said, when it comes to inflation and cost of living, the best experts in the world are the ordinary people living that life. It's one thing for an expert to tell you whether or not you are feeling. If today you are suffering from malaria, you can bring the world's best expert and tell you look fine. Well, listen to your body. If your body is telling you are not feeling okay, what should you do? Should you just say, the expert says I'm fine, therefore I'm fine? The same thing with inflation. I don't know exactly what it is, but I live in this country. I know the cost of goods are high. Even if it has gone down, whatever level it is today, it is far higher than what we are used to in the Gambia. So going back to the other point, there is no report there in the IMF, in the World Bank that says the Gambian economy is doing well. No. They would have a report that says, here is the GDP. But if you look at IMF, when people are talking about the problems here in the country in terms of public finance management, When you look at those reports and you read very carefully, what they will tell you is that the Gambia, our country, we are close to debt distress. There is no way to sugarcoat that. A country where you are, a country's name and debt distress, whenever they appear in the same sentence, there is no way anyone can tell you that country is doing well. And 77%, that means 77 out of 100 people in the country, when those people stand and tell you things are not going well, you should stop whatever you are doing and listen to what that story is telling you. The only way somebody can tell me that that number you disputed is when you tell me that you don't trust the Afrobarometer survey. But let's look at the reality. This government just says that they reject the report. But at any point in time, did they tell you what is flawed in the report? No. This same government went and quoted the Afrobarometer survey in their own national development plan, in their own official document. Is it a government that doesn't believe in the credibility of Afrobarometer survey? Would they do that? This is not the first time Afrobarometer has done surveys in the Gambia, and they have done it across multiple countries, across decades. It's a reputable international research institution. It has no partisan it has nothing against the Barrow regime. It works across many African countries. It's been doing this. These are researchers from outside of the Gambia. They have no political side to choose from here. If the report had said if their data had said that 9 out of 10 people in the Gambia are happy with the economic situation, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. That's what they would have reported. These are apolitical, neutral, objective researchers. They are not going to go and taint their reputation by playing with the data. It's of no consequence to them what happens in the Gambia. They just report the data. These are researchers based outside of the Gambia. The government themselves know that. If these people had done a study and there was something tainted with it, the sample size was not selected well, it was not representative, the analysis of the data was poorly done, you could say it's wrong and this is the right result. But they use a sampling frame that is used by this government, this GBOS. GBOS sampling frame is what they use. They collected a sample, a nationally representative sample that meets a sufficient size to do statistical inference. So by any measure, any international measure, these people did very, very correct level of analysis. Dr. Ceesay Dr. Ceesay or anyone in this ministry cannot tell you what is exactly wrong here because they know it doesn't exist. And the truth be told, none of them in this cabinet have any idea to actually, even if those people made a mistake, Dr. Ceesay and his colleagues have no idea, what that mistake would be.
That is Dr. Ceesay, isn't it? He's a professor.
He's a political science professor. This is a statistical work. He has no background in the area, and that's the reality. He doesn't have the background to challenge the statistical validity of this work. But you can say, look at the report and read carefully. Did they say anything substantive about what is wrong or invalid about the statistical methods used by Afrobarometer? No. So they just said they rejected it. And they didn't give any reason because the results, they don't like it. But data doesn't care about anyone's feeling or who is there. The data, when it's analyzed correctly, if the work is done correctly, it just tells the truth. And my advice to this government is listen to what the people, you are here for the people. Listen to what the people are trying to tell you. See what you can do.
And that's my question. Is it not good for the government? Because if at this point, this survey is telling you a lot of Gambians think it's in the wrong direction. This would be a good opportunity for them to take advantage of this and fix it as soon as possible.
Yeah. Well, the question is, can they fix it? As I've said before.
I mean, at least get us to a price, good.
Man, that's what should be done. I mean, but, if you are to have any realistic expectation as to whether this government has the willingness or the ability to correct path, you first have to listen to what their response to information is. If their response to information is to sit down, reflect on what they are being told and say, okay, this is what people are saying, we've heard you, let us go back and think and come up with a plan and address your concern. then you can have some realistic hope that they will do something about it. But if their first response is to say, we reject these results, do you think there is any realistic expectation that they are actually going to go and do some corrective measures? No. So we've now seen, we don't have to speculate, we've now seen how they have responded. So the reality now is staring us right in the face. This government, either they don't know about it, or they don't care that things are not going in the right direction, and we can be rest assured that they have no intention of changing course, because they reject the idea and they reject the evidence that things are not going well. As far as they are concerned, things are going great. So if you, as an ordinary Gambian, things are not going great for you, this government is telling you, you are imagining it. That's what they are telling you. So they are saying that things are going great. Then if things are not going great, it's your problem. This is what their response is telling you.
Interesting.